Alright guys, Tactical here today, and we are halfway through week 1 of the cross-divisional play, week 5 of the Pro League overall, and we've had a lot of interesting matches once again. We're going to go through all of them today with some highlight clips thrown in there for good measure, and then we're going to go into the LG blacklisting stuff, the Red Reserve Twitter drama that we've seen over the last few hours here. So it's a very interesting time in Call of Duty. I have no idea what's going to happen with this LG blacklist and what exactly is going to happen with Red Reserve going forwards, given they've got situations with their organisation and also seemingly internal turmoil with the team. So let me know all your thoughts on this down in the comment section below, as I'm sure you will. Like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new. As always, I'd greatly appreciate it. And let's hop right into this one. Heretics versus Evil Geniuses was the first series of the day, and EG swept out to a 2-0 lead here. Heretics came out pretty flat. EG romped away with this first half point. Wanted to mention it, all these stats and all these scoreboards I show in this video courtesy of EasyMac. Check him out at the link in the description box below. A lot of great work he puts in for Call of Duty, so I really appreciate that. Exotic and attach went off this map number 1, which is basically what you need if you're an EG team, if you have a chance of winning with the other lads on your team. Map 2 is a 6-5 win. I think EG were down 5-2 once again. Indeed they were, as we can see here over the left. And EG bring it back. Is that the second day in a row? Because I'm pretty sure they brought one back in similar fashion yesterday as well. So pretty remarkable from EG. But then the tide began to turn, and I found this pretty surprising, because the reason why I favoured EG in this series was because I thought the Heretics would lose the control, like for sure, because they've lost every single control, I believe, since very early in Fort Worth. They won like one control, and since then they've lost every single one. And it's a very important, you know, the swing game mode, right? If EG had taken it here, they'd have closed out 3-0, we had a completely different story. But Heretics pretty much crush it. It's on frequency here, so they get the attacking round first, which, as we were talking about the other day, is something of an advantage. Then they win a good defensive round, and then that pretty much spells the end of the game when the specialists and the like come into play. And then Heretics take a map number 4 relatively comfortably here, 250 to 143 on this seaside map. Impressive stuff from them. Journey just went absolutely off this game, and EG could get nothing going. And then into the game 5 here, I think it was a 6-4, yeah, in favour of the Heretics. And yeah, it was tough. Methods pretty much just carried the whole series in both search and destroys. And yeah, the guys in EG are just super consistent. Of all the players to not have a good game, it was Exotic in that final one. But yeah, Heretics closed it out in a reverse sweep. Impressive stuff from them, trying to get back to form, but EG continue to struggle. They definitely need to make some changes in addition to this attach move. So this was the final series scoreboard. Methods just caught, baby. He got pretty hard carried by Journey and Metals, but he'll take that every day of the week on the scoreboard front at least. Attach and Exotic had a solid series as always, but the rest of the guys, you know, especially Felony here, right? Those kind of numbers you can't really be putting up with the role that he has, I don't think. So yeah, definitely some changes need to come in for EG. They continue to struggle. Heretics bounce back nicely, and we'll see how they do tomorrow against Red Reserve. Game 2 is UYU versus eUnited here. This is a crazy map number 1. eUnited closed it out 250 to 239, but UYU honestly looked like they were going to make a crazy comeback. eUnited were in the lead for the entirety of the game here. See 220 to 120 at one time, and they nearly choke it away, but Simp clutches up. He gets the War Machine out. Of course, Simp now on LAN. He has a fantastic series once again. Him and Abizi, the shining stars of this team right now. Clayster has also been really, really good since this team change happened, so if you're a Clay fan, you've got to be happy with that. Game number 2 was incredible. UIU almost took this one out the bag, but oh my word, it really came down right at the end to an Abizi. It was the most ridiculous round 11 I think I've ever seen here. So it's back and forth, back and forth. It was 5-2 in favour of UYU, and they threw it away dramatically. Went all the way to a round 11 in one of the craziest round 11s I've seen. Abizi tries to do a grab slam into Little Room. I'm sure the clip will be on screen right here. And then Proto tries to answer back. Both of them miss their slam entirely. And then Abizi manages to, well, pop a 3-piece at the end and clutch out the 1v1 against Proto to end up winning them the game. It was an incredibly close set of affairs. I don't really know why Parzelion was pushing out the back as well when Clayster was there. Didn't seem necessary to me. But anyway, UAU, someone managed to throw away that map, and then map number 3, it was almost inevitable at this point when that kind of momentum is in your favour. 3-0 on the gridlock control. Once again, Clayster having an excellent respawn map. And as we look at the series as a whole in just a second here, we can see that Clayster goes off. 1.6 KD over the course of the series. He was the man on fire this one, and of course Simp and Abizi as well. That SMG duo is absolutely deadly. And well, Pristini and Arstides just had to do nothing with those 3 guys going off this whole series. So really impressive stuff from that core 3, I guess, in eUnited. Not really a core 3, to be honest, but, you know, it seems to be working that way right now. That's a very scary lineup indeed, with Simp playing well as he is. Okay, so then it gets a little bit interesting here. Luminosity versus Accelerate, a rematch from their game in pool play at CWL Fort Worth, where it all went all the way to a game 5, and Luminosity closed it out. Same story here, would you believe? LG take the first hardpoint, of course. Once again, they've got the Rampart out right here. So the Rampart is in play from Luminosity, and I believe Accelerate pulled it out in return. I think Emery's pulled out of Rampart as well in order to try and counter that of Classic. Didn't exactly have the best map 1 here, but of course, Gunless goes 34 in 24. This guy is constantly positive, like 1.2 plus. Just remarkable, really, how he does this every single map and every single series. The only guy that seems comparable in that fashion really is Hook right now, and I guess you could say Dashi, but he hasn't played at the league, so it's difficult to say. But like, Jesus, man, Gunless is something else. They win map number 1, 250 to 160. Map 2, Gunless doesn't have the best game by any means. I actually remember Accelerate, you know, early in the Pro League, they used to be really, really good at their early search and destroys. They seem to be continuing that form here with a different lineup. Of course, Brack goes off this map number 2. They win it 6-3, and then Luminosity dominate the control. So it's a very interesting series in terms of how, you know, some of the maps are relatively close, Luminosity being sloppy on, they get beaten 6-3 on that search and destroy, but then the maps that they win, they seem to be pretty dominant on. This 3-0 fashion was very comfortable indeed. I'd be interested, really, I think I'll look more into the stats on, if you're up 2-0, what's the probability that you win 3-0, or what's the probability that you go to 2-1, because as far as I can tell, that round 3 is really the swing round, so you can have like a 3-0, but in reality, if they'd have lost that round, it's maybe very likely that it would have gone to 2-2 and then gone to a final round, if you see what I mean. So anyway, LG take it 3-0, and then an impressive game 4 on Arsenal. I think this was the same map that LG were down like 180 to 30 on at Fort Worth, early Fort Worth, and everyone was like, what's going on? Accelerate are smoking these guys. Accelerate, apparently a really good Arsenal hardpoint team right here, and yeah, John doesn't have the best map by any means. And then of course game 5, Luminosity pretty much run away with this one. Great performances from a lot of the guys on the side of Luminosity, and yeah, a 6-2 finish, definitely shown a lot of their potential. It was back and forth, a very similar series to what they played at Fort Worth, so unfortunate for Accelerate that they couldn't close it out this time, but LG still looking good. After this series there was a little bit of drama in terms of that Skies, I think, was pretty annoyed that the guys on Luminosity were using the Rampart. He refused to fist bump like Formal and Slacked, or maybe more people than that. I don't know why it was them, given they weren't the ones using the Rampart, but you know, that's up in the air. We can talk more on that in just a second here when we get to the end of this video about this LG Blacklist Rampart Gentleman's Agreement situation. So LG, of course, Gunless walks away with the MVP of the series. Are you not entertained? And yeah, everyone has a pretty solid series out of the side of LG. Accelerate definitely looking like a better team than I thought they would, and Brack continues to impress me a lot. So yeah, exciting team. Oh yeah, and this is that tweet from Skies after the after the map is over. GG's to Pierce, Formal and Slack, lost 2-3. I've regained. GG's to Classic and John. So yeah, fair enough. Then we have Red Reserve versus Team Envious right here. And this map number 1, it was actually 250 to 222. There should be a 2 there. Red Reserve closed it out on Hacienda. An impressive map win from them, given that usually Red Reserve are the ones to fall on the bad end of a map like this. You know, it's really close, back and forth the entire way, all the way up to the finish. Red Reserve managed to clutch up here on the rotations, even though Hoot goes 31 in 20. Map 2 was an interesting one. It went to 3-3, and then Envy, I think they maybe like adjusted some of their setups very slightly. They also won some very clutch rounds, and yeah, they run away with the game from there. Hook is 13 in 4. Just as I was talking about how Gunless just has series after series where he is incredibly impactful, Hook unbelievably manages to do the same thing every single day. He now has 3 series, according to EasyMac, where he has 100 plus kills over the course of the series, which is pretty unprecedented. Now this control map was really where it was won or lost. Red Reserve went up 2-0 at the start. They lost the 3rd attacking round, and then that round 4 was frankly ridiculous, the way the lives went, and also round 5 was incredible as well. Red Reserve, especially in round 5, they managed to get early control of that B point. They locked that one down. And then it was pretty much on Envy to hold the A point for as long as possible. And somehow they managed to do it. Once again, Who goes 36 in 29 somehow. And yeah, Scraps went off this map, and it's so tragic that he managed to, they lost this one, considering this pretty much was the series. I thought right here, like the way Red Reserve choked this away was just remarkable. And yeah, well, it's very indicative of this team needing a change. I think these kind of chokes and the like have been an instance on Red Reserve for a long time with some of the players on this team. And, well, I don't know whether it's a problem with the core or whether they think it's a problem with some of the other members on the team. We'll have to see. Red Reserve do well to bounce back, though, and take this map number 4. Similar situation to when they played Reciprocity at Fort Worth. They end up winning this map 4 relatively comfortably to take it all the way to a Game 5. And guess what happens in Game 5? In typical Red Reserve fashion, they managed to lose it. A 6-2 situation here. Once again, Envy with a lot of rounds on the bounce. And you have to probably give that to mid-game adjustments, right? Aches was also doing very well in these Game 5s as well. The Search and Destroys particularly. Aches has been definitely very impressive. And yeah, probably some good adjustments from Envy. I think a similar situation here with Red Reserve on this Hacienda map against the Enigma 6 team at Fort Worth as well, when they were a close game to start with. I think Red Reserve even went up 4-2 in that one, and then Enigma 6 brought it all the way back with like 4 straight rounds or something. Something that you can't really let happen if you're a championship contending team. So this is the end of the series scoreline. 108 kills for Scraps, but there was no match for Hook. 117. How remarkable is that? A 1.4 KD over the series going Game 5. Every single map he seems to dominate, especially in the respawn side of things. And yeah, Scraps was keeping up with him there. There are some rumours that I'll briefly touch on here that Scraps, well, not necessarily rumours. I think it's very heavily rumoured, put it that way, that Scraps was going to go to this Envious team a couple of weeks ago for Aches of all people. Now that may still be on the table. Scraps isn't now sure if he wants to leave or not. It's, you know, there's a lot of money on the table potentially being offered. Codburner was saying something in the region of maybe like 300k Red Reserve want for Scraps, and you know, well, it's tough. Now Red Reserve also might want to make another change as well, in addition to Scraps potentially leaving, but we can touch more on that at a later date. Okay, so now let's get into the Twitter stuff before this video ends. Rated tweets this out right after this series, so he ended up deleting this, but he basically said, look, this team needs to change, just dreadful. GG's Envy, we moved to 5-4 in the Pro League. We have Zero as well on the timeline, like apologising for not playing as well as, you know, he normally does to Scraps, and Scraps reckons he's fine. Maybe Scraps reckons he's fine because he's got that paycheck lined up from Envy, because it was rumoured, by the way, last season that he was going to go to Envy when he was on the UniLad team. Apparently that was almost set in stone. He got an offer from Envy, one of the first European players really to get an offer from that North American team throughout, you know, the World War II season, and a long time since that had happened, really, way back in the Advanced Warfare times. So, you know, who knows? Okay, so let's talk about the LG Blacklist stuff briefly before we finish the video here. Slacked says, ha ha ha, Crim6 blacklisted LG from playing CoD. Now, there is a clip going around on Crim6's stream. I'll try and find it and put it up on screen for you guys.
Just hit it and fall.
I want Danny.
Nah, bro. Pick a number.
Alright.
We got a number, go. We got a number?
You hear me?
I have one, go.
6. No, get him out of here. Get him out of here. He's blacklisted.
Yeah, I didn't.
2.
Why would I ask that?
Yo, is that classic? I can't hear, bro. Is it 2? No. Rampart. No, 4. You and I mean, we're already in your lobby, bro.
That's the host. That's the host.
All right, go, JG.
My turn, bro. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said I was gonna play.
It can be blacklisting, bro. It's kind of fucked up.
How the fuck is it okay to blacklist me?
Yeah, and it's also
when
fucked
people
up
blacklist Optic and it's
that everyone in the whole fucking pro teams except for one person wants to use that gun.
I don't run the gun. Why can't I play 10s?
Yeah, that exactly. Consult
exactly.
Nick. Consult Nick.
Why the fuck can I play?
Supposedly Slasher was the first one to really suggest this, but not only are they getting blacklisted, so effectively blacklisting is because these guys are using the Rampart, which a lot of other pros want to see gentleman's agreemented out of the game. Now, what's interesting is that surely a gentleman's agreement implies that everyone agrees, right? If not everyone agrees to the gentleman's agreement, then it's not much of an agreement. But, you know, well, that's a give or take issue, I guess. So, supposedly, LG are obviously using this Rampart, so it seems like a lot of the players want to blacklist them from scrimming against them or from even playing 10s, so like just playing community 10s, even if they're not going to use the Rampart, as a way of leverage to force LG to not use the Rampart when it is within their right to do so, I guess. So, well, it's an interesting scenario. It seems once again that the pros just don't want to experience any kind of meta change beyond what they're used to. Like, I know some of you guys, the Rampart is obviously a very, very strong weapon, especially on LAN, but it doesn't break the game as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't ruin the meta. You only really see one of them per team per map, maybe two if you're lucky. On certain maps you can get away with, but otherwise you're seeing a Maddox, a Rampart, probably two Maddoxes, a Rampart, a Sorg and an ICR, something like that on a lot of the maps in the game. So even though it's very strong, I really don't see much of an issue, considering you can only realistically have one or two of them on your team at any time. It's not like the ITRA from, you know, World War II season or some other the guns that have been GA'd that you would have seen a lot more of, such as, you know, I guess the FAL back in Black Ops 2, even though that was outright banned. So a very interesting situation. John says the following: how are fools who placed top 12 and didn't even run into the Rampart even trying to complain about the Rampart? And then we have the following from Nameless here. So catching up on this whole blacklisting of LG thing, and I find it absolutely pathetic. We've been through this before. When it happened to Optic, there was some community outrage. This was hashtag FreeLG. Yeah, this was way back in the day. I think in like Ghost's time. Didn't really follow the scene back then. But yeah, I think Optic got blacklisted from scrims and stuff by the likes of like Complexity or Evil Geniuses with Crimsix on it, I think, for the idea that they were like popular or whatever. So we needed to make them worse in order to get other teams' fans. I don't know exactly how that went down. Don't want to comment on it too much. Crimsix says 79-1, implying that every player in the Pro League but Classic wants it gone, which Envoy did a tweet implying that that might be true from like a DM with Slacked, but, you know, I don't know, because then Classic replies to this saying it's false, and so does Nameless say that this figure's false, so I don't know. And yeah, Classic replies to this a little bit further down here, and Crimsix even admits that if we had Damon running, he'd probably be nasty with it. So it's like, okay, well, maybe you just give it a go, right? I don't know, maybe I'm not one to say. And then Classic says, lying on the timeline yet again. So before we finish, these are tonight's games. Red Heretics, probably going to favour Red, but it's a close one. Accelerate UIU, this is another difficult one. Probably going to go UIU off their form so far. Envy EG, slightly going to favour Envy in this one. I think Envy should be favoured, but it's difficult to say right now. They are finally clutching up some game 5s at the very least. And then LG eUnited should be very close. Probably going to take eUnited here just because of that search and destroy power that Simp and Avizi bring. And I think that new squad is going to be scary. I talked about how good these guys tend to be in the league. So like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. Leave all your thoughts on all this drama down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I will see you next time.